I am at this strange stage where I have like a few handful of white hairs on my beard. There's one somewhere here as well, but it looks like an anomaly. Should I pluck it? Should I just leave it, trim it shorter? Anyway, hey friends. One of the things I do to pay the bills is marketing consulting, and I used to work in software marketing. And yeah, it's a skill set that I have that is useful, gets things done, right? And yesterday I had a client that I was talking to, and one of the amazing things for me about doing consulting for others is that in helping them through their problems, I often end up finding solutions to my own problems, because it's just the act of getting into a headspace where you're helping someone and thinking about problems. It's very recursive. And anyway, one of the things that I ended up saying to the client is that they are gonna continue to feel stuck where they are feeling stuck with their product and the messaging of their product until they figure out the sort of open sesame magic phrase, right? There's a magic phrase that condenses your offering, what you're trying to give people, the value proposition, condenses all of that into something distinct, memorable, sticky and memorable, kind of the same thing, and it's evocative, right? And once you can say that, once you can use that phrase, you kind of unlock new opportunities and new potential. And the thing is, the phrase is never something that stands on its own. You may use it on its own, but you derive the phrase from having a deep understanding of your material and then kind of walking over the ground over and over again until you find like the most elegant path. And you often find this by accident. And as I was saying that, I realized that that's the challenge that I'm experiencing with my ebook that I've been working on for so long. My first ebook happened pretty quickly, and the magic passphrase there was friendly ambitious nerd, right? And that 3-word phrase functions as a sort of magic phrase that gets people interested to know more. It conveys quite a bit, but it also has a bit of mystery to it. Like, people are like, what do you mean by that? What's the idea there? It's a hook, right? It gets people into the rest of it, and I expand on it, and it's just I almost can't remember how I was thinking about the book before I had that phrase, because that phrase went on to define the whole project. And my second book is called Introspect, and I've been trying to figure out what's the phrase, what is, and I didn't realize that was the challenge, but that is a challenge. What's the phrase? What are the ways in which, what's the hook, right? What's going to get people thinking about this? And so I took my own advice, which is to just ramble as much as possible about the book, to kind of see what the riffs are, throw out lots of riffs. And I went through a bunch of my usual talking points, and then towards the end, I stopped after I thought I found the thing. So it's always going to be it's always in the last place you looked, because once you found it, you don't need to look anymore. And the phrase that got me excited was tinkering mindset, right? And I realized that that's something that I feel strongly about that wasn't in the previous formulation of the book. I mean, if you read the book, you would find it here and there. You could piece it together if you're perceptive. But I mean, I don't think most readers would have pieced it together from the previous draft, because I hadn't kind of drawn attention to it. I hadn't made it a focal point, right? I have to focus on it and talk about it and demonstrate it in order for people to get it. Right? Communication is a very difficult proposition. And tinkering mindset. And it gets meta because the book's partially about cultivating tinkering mindset, and then about applying tinkering mindset to your mindset. So it's tinkering with your mindset, right? Which is, I find that elegant. I like the recursiveness of it. And I feel that it creates the image that I wanted to create. Like previously, and this remains true, the central conflict of the book is about confronting your inner authoritarian, your inner tyrant. And while that is a strong focal point, I didn't want it to be what's on the cover. I don't want to make that the promise, because I don't want that to be the target audience of the book, right? And it's very oblique. It's like I want people who understand the value of tinkering mindset, or they see the potential value of it, and then along the way I want to help them overcome their inner authoritarian. But I don't want it to be a book about conquering your inner authoritarian, or and even the word conquering is not the right word to use, because it is, if you see my other videos about unlearning coercion, it's like, if you're trying to, you can't coerce your way out of coercion, because you've just installed the old way in an attempt to install the new way, right? Like you can't use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house, something like that. That kind of phrase. It's like, it's and I'm kind of edgy making this video because I know that I have something else that I want to do after this, so this is going to be funny to look at on retrospect, in retrospect. But yeah, tinkering mindset. What is tinkering mindset? It's about fiddling with stuff. It's about Steve Jobs had a quote about how you can realize that the world around you, the built world and the cultural, he doesn't specify what he means precisely about the world around you. And so people tend to think about this in terms of products, like the products around you are built by people no smarter than you, and that you can build your own products. But he said the world, and I think this also applies to like cultural ideas, right? Norms, beliefs. Like the culture around you was made by people no smarter than you, and it can be tinkered with, it can be evolved, it can be adapted, experimented with, which isn't to say that you necessarily have superior ideas to everybody who has came before you, right? That's a kind of hubris, and it's unlikely that that's going to be the case, that inside you there is already a superior idea. It could be true though, and if you ask me if it's true of me, I would say maybe, I don't know, right? And but the point is to find out through the tinkering, right? It's through fiddling with stuff, messing around with stuff. I don't know in advance which of these videos is going to really resonate with people. I know that I have good ideas because I've had lots of conversations with people, and I've done a lot of introspection and writing and reading. And I know that from time to time, I've had sparks. I've had moments that were really like, wow, it's like exalted. I don't claim credit entirely for those moments. It's semi-accidental, but I know that this process that I have produces stuff that is good. It resonates with people, but I don't know specifically which phrases, I don't know specifically which frames and concepts. And so my process is to be prolific and make lots and lots of stuff. And along the way, I will notice what resonates with people. And what resonates with people isn't necessarily what is best, but it's what resonates with people. It's a useful thing to know. And yeah, so I guess I'm making this video to just talk a bit about tinkering mindset, and to I hope that each of my videos is an attempt. It's a kind of micro expedition. It's an expression of an idea, and it might not be. It's almost definitely not the best possible expression of the idea. But if it's interesting, if there's something interesting to it, there's a chance that someone who passes by will leave a comment that expands on the interestingness. So it's a collaborative effort, right? And when people leave comments, that for me is a useful sign of what I should double down on. And again, not necessarily all comments. I think some people can fall into a trap of mistaking the subset of the responses that they get is only a subset of the possible responses to their work. And it's easy to over-index on the early responses that you get. But again, so the solution to everything is just keep being prolific, make lots and lots of stuff, keep tinkering with stuff, experimenting, fiddling with it. And this process is pleasurable in of itself, because you get to see how the world is. There's like that poem that's like infinity in an hour, the ocean in a drop of water, right? And the miracle of life in the egg of a flea, right? And similarly, by tinkering with something, right? Well, even if it's making YouTube videos, by doing something repeatedly and doing trial and error and filling and stuff, there's something profound about what you will learn in the process that it's very difficult to articulate. It's to truly articulate the fullness of it, you have to show the whole thing, and like you can't, right? Nobody has the bandwidth for that, not even the creator. So then there's a new art form of trying to convey what the fullness is. And then even to do that, you experiment and tinker and fiddle around. And yeah, this crossed 10 minutes, so I'm gonna end this here. But let me know what tinkering is like for you. What are you tinkering with, and what has tinkering given you an appreciation of, and what would you like to tinker with? I want to know all of these things. I don't know everything. Done.